Welcome to the Industrial IoT Spotlight, your number one spot for insight from industrial IoT thought leaders who are transforming businesses today. With your host, Eric Walenza.
Welcome back to the Industrial IoT Spotlight podcast. I'm joined today by Carlos Villanueva. Carlos is the head of market intelligence and strategic partnerships at BICS. And BICS is a leading international communication enabler. So what BICS does is they connect devices around the world by facilitating reliable and secure mobile experiences. In our previous section, we focused on the technology that BICS provides. Now we're going to look at case studies, starting in particular with one called Hanhaa. Maybe, Carlos, if you can kick off by giving a quick overview of what Hanhaa does, and then how Hanhaa is using BICS today.
Hanhaa provides different type of services. Basically, they provide a cross-border parcel tracking services, what they call ParceLive. So, and their vision for ParceLive has always been to provide the most detailed, current, and useful information across the globe. So they basically are working with different logistics companies, also cargo, containers, trackers, remote monitoring. And what they are really looking at is how to make sure that the enterprises or the end users can really track their parcels across the full journey, how they can really monitor and, let's say, offer a reliable solution to their customers. What's happening today is that there are different, let's say, system integrators. Let's say it has been tasked to provide an end-to-end solution to improve supply chain efficiency for a global manufacturer of high-end electronics, right? So the manufacturers today has some suppliers, right? So they are manufacturing facilities as well as distribution around the world, and wants every component of its supply chain to be integrated into a single management platform offering some specific services. This is basically the request of the market coming to a company like Hanhaa. And here, the most important thing is how that challenge could be managed and how they could build a solution for these kind of challenges, right? By using their ParceLive solution. The most important thing here is that as Hanhaa is providing tracking services, they can always say and provide to this enterprise with a specific benefits, let's say. The enterprise would always be looking for a real-time parcel track and trace, right? Because they need to make sure that all the components that they, for example, they are manufacturing and will remain predefined parameters, right? When a product, for example, is in transit, is tampered with, or it could face some deviations from the route. So they would like to have some real-time alerts that should be triggered in their systems. But at the same time, it's like they are facing the challenge of the fleet management. So there's a scheduled fleet management problem, I would say, on how to track the fleets, how to flag maintenance, for example, how to repair the needs of vehicles, how to conduct the worker management and other actions. In the other hand, they are working with different suppliers. So these companies are, let's say, needing to have some automation when they place the orders, when they fulfill notifications, or when they, let's say, fulfill the final settlements. All these different challenges coming from, let's say, a specific manufacturer company that would like to have a global supply chain. Companies like Hanhaa, they will need to deploy an end-to-end, let's say, solution where they can really track in real time the parcel. No? They can have a scheduled fleet management, but they can always have the collaboration of the different suppliers. These different suppliers, it's about as I said, the orders, fulfillments of financial settlements. So how we work, let's say, with Hanhaa in providing this, and let's say in solving this challenge, we help them to make sure that their ambition became a reality. So our global connectivity ensures that the ParceLive trackers are well connected wherever they go and whatever happens to them. With that in mind, Hanhaa can really provide with an end-to-end solution into their devices and applications. Our connectivity, let's say, solution can help these system integrators to achieve competitive and well-managed international roaming, because the roaming offer will be an efficient and streamlined way to deploy or complement roaming coverage of the whole world. So they will be allowing, let's say, the end-to-end connectivity providers to access new multilateral linkages through a single technical and commercial relationship. Meaning, as I was explaining before, is how Hanhaa, without being an expert on providing global connectivity, how they can provide a reliable solution to the manufacturer company. The roaming and the connectivity will offer Hanhaa basically a single window intermediary service and manages the system integrators, meaning, let's say, Hanhaa, roaming relationships with other operators. So in this case, Hanhaa will not need to deal with, let's say, with the different connectivity providers worldwide, because the device will be always connected. So our state-of-the-art, let's say, and easy-to-use environment is really going to manage all the activities required for rapid service and rollout and easy management. From establishing the roaming agreements, so we can really assure full financial liability, to the testing phase and billing and settlement, meaning all these different elements that are required normally to get, let's say, global connectivity for the ParceLive tracking solution from Hanhaa will be there already. And on top of that, as they will need to provide with a high quality service, we will need to make sure, in this case, BICS will need to make sure that we can guarantee the quality of service and the day-to-day operations on their behalf. So we are really simplifying the operations, the day-to-day operations of the ParceLive service. What we see as a result of the combination of the challenges that Hanhaa is receiving from the different manufacturers or logistic companies, asset tracking companies, etc., is that these very large integrators, let's say, and other players in the value chains, they can access to a really core network, right? It's really that they can access a core network and telecom assets. So they really reduce the lead time needed to develop a global roaming footprint from months, because it is what normally takes, from months to just a few weeks. So it's really like building a fast, seamless connectivity solution that empowers the ParceLive solution from Hanhaa.
Practical use case. I was working with a global telco equipment manufacturer about 6 years ago on a project in Southeast Asia, helping them to evaluate their supply chain and look at how they could be more cost competitive and provide better service in the region. And one of the biggest headaches was that they lost track of equipment as it was traveling from Europe or from the States or wherever it was being assembled through to the end customer. And they were missing deadlines because they had something that was held up in Dubai or in Qatar, held up somewhere in the world, and they didn't know where it was. They didn't know what the status was. They didn't have visibility into who they could contact to actually assess this. It was a huge headache across the supply chain and for the sales teams, because the sales were then having to deal with the customer around deployment delays and so forth, because they were missing components. And then, of course, they have liability issues where they end up eating the cost due to this. So really, I think in circumstances like that, kind of a no-brainer. But of course, you have to, I think from the end user side, you have to actually go through that business analysis to how this is impacting your business, how the lack of visibility into the movement of goods is impacting your business in terms of sales, in terms of supply chain costs, in terms of customer satisfaction and so forth. So it's really a critical exercise. I guess BICS is a step away from this, right? So you're working in most cases with a company like Hanhaa, who's kind of in the middle. Are there circumstances where you're working directly? I think we discussed pacemakers before, or kind of personal healthcare devices where BICS might be working directly with the device manufacturer. Do you get into an advisory relationship with companies to help them understand, let's say, the business case behind the value, or is this generally very clear up front and they don't need that level of support? They just need the connectivity.
The fact is that the different, let's say, enterprises, they want to really, really focus on the deployment of the different, let's say, use cases. So when we face this, let's say, directly the enterprise, we always receive, let's say, the need from them to have support to deploy the end-to-end solution. And in many cases, the enterprise, they don't have, let's say, the right expertise to get together with the right partners and the right, let's say, stakeholders. So we are facing different use cases, as I was telling you. For example, when we met connected watch manufacturer, right, that sells, of course, connected watches, and wanted to embed connectivity with the watch. So when the buyer purchases the watch, he can really select a data plan with a cap monthly data allowance, let's say, and then this manufacturer can invoice the buyer on a monthly basis. So how this company can do that without not having expertise on billing, settlement, connectivity, data plans, cross-border connectivity, etc. So what we do is basically we put together and we build with him, with this enterprise, how this use case could work. When we face it direct, when the connectivity is the only building block that is required, of course, we have it straightforward, but if not, we bring different stakeholders. So let's say in this case, the watch manufacturer will need to integrate into the back-end systems. Will need to integrate their back-end systems to our connectivity platform so that they can really match the end user lifecycle, right? Or they can really perform software updates or collect data for business intelligence. So these are, let's say, the advantages or benefits that technology is bringing to this manufacturer, that probably, as he's just focusing on the connected watch business, he won't have the different technology or backend systems necessary to make the use case work. Or we can talk about the, I don't know, we also face another manufacturer which was a forklift manufacturer that was distributing forklifts around the world, right? So the need was there of how they could embed connectivity in this forklift for telematics or remote maintenance and vertical applications. So again, it's like if the manufacturer has no idea of what type of device, for example, will require globally, which type of technology is going to be needed for connectivity, how the applications or which kind of applications will be required to provide the right remote monitoring. So all these building blocks together, we help these manufacturers to put the blocks together and to engage with the different stakeholders. So we are facing not only those two cases or three, but some others where definitely the end enterprises are looking at the integration piece. So we also think that the service providers and integrators playing in these different verticals industries are a key, let's say, an important asset, right? Because they can bring the expertise of the different parties to come up with an end-to-end solution. We can really talk about different other use cases or case studies where, for example, some healthcare companies, they really wanted to offer an application at the device that must be connected to healthcare services around the world. How they can do that? They will have the application because they have the software that where they can really provide a healthcare solution, but how they could really bring into market complete healthcare, let's say, end-to-end solution that where they can really offer a reliable, secure, and global scale healthcare connected device that they can really offer to enterprises. So because this device will require device management, right? So the healthcare company won't have the expertise on device management. So they won't have the expertise on how to, let's say, ensure the quality of the assurance, right? And the security of the information. So how do you protect the information? Nowadays, security on the IoT domain is becoming a crucial element. How do you protect all the data streams that the sensors, devices are going to be sent to these data centers or cloud platforms? How connectivity and technology will need to enable, together with the device, a secure way to exchange information across different, let's say, platforms and across different connectivity technologies. So you see, there are many challenges in every, let's say, vertical industry. There are different challenges. But one of the most important, let's say, pieces or tasks that, for example, in the case of BICS, we do is to get the challenge, get the needs from the enterprises and in the industries, and try to make sure to translate those needs into technology directly via connectivity solution when it's required, or via putting together the right stakeholders on the table.
Carlos, I think this is a super useful conversation for anybody that's trying to figure out how to enable global connectivity for their solution or for their customers, for their operations. If somebody wants to follow up with you, have a discussion, learn more about how you work with companies, or just learn more about the topic in general, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
They can find me on LinkedIn if possible, Carlos Villanueva. If not, they can, of course, drop me always an email. I mean, we're happy to get in touch. carlos.villanueva@bics.com. So please feel free to get in touch, and we are happy to listen to your different challenges. We are happy to listen to use cases and to collaborate to bring end-to-end solutions to the IoT market.
Yeah, and we'll put that email address and then LinkedIn as well in the show notes, so folks can follow up. Carlos, thanks so much for sharing today.
Thanks to you, Eric. Thanks for the opportunity. Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to another edition of the Industrial IoT Spotlight. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at IoT ONE HQ and to check out our database of case studies on IoT1.com. If you have unique insight or a project deployment story to share, we'd love to feature you on a future edition. Write us at eric.walenza@IoT1.com.